No, at best he was 5'4", 140 pounds. Not the greatest player of his era, but my God, he stood tall. Every major league baseball player, every pro player, every amateur player, and every what they call intermediate or senior player throughout the world kind of mimic him for what he said. Hit him where he ain't, and that's what he did. Today, our good friend of the channel, Ryan Thompson, made his great request, and I'm sorry, Ryan, I never did it before. We're going to be talking about the great one, Willie Keeler. Now, William Henry Keeler, born March 3rd, 1872 in Brooklyn, was nicknamed Wee Willie because of his small stature. He was American right fielder in Major League Baseball from 1892 to 1910, primarily for the Baltimore Orioles and the Brooklyn Super Bowl in the National League and New York Highlanders in the American League. Keeler, one of the best hitters of his time, was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939. One of the greatest contact hitters of all time and notoriously hard to strike out, Keeler had the highest career at-bats per strikeout ratio in MLB history. Throughout his career, on average, he never went more than 60 at-bats between individual strikeouts. William Henry O'Keller Jr., he later Americanized the name to Keeler, was born in Brooklyn. The son of William O'Kelleher Sr., a trolley switchman. He played baseball from an early age and as a freshman served as a captain of the high school baseball team. He quit school the following year and played semi-pro baseball in the New York area. In 1892, after beginning the season playing his second year with the Plainsville Crescent Cities of the Central New Jersey League, he joined the minor league team in Binghamton, and he was called up to the Giants at the end of the campaign. After a trip back to the minors because of an injury at the start of the 1893 campaign, he returned to the Giants later that year. Initially a third baseman, he later moved to the outfield, and he quickly established himself as a star. And he played strongly and every possible scenario until retiring in 1910. Keeler's advice to hitters was, and it's still, every coach does it, keep your eye clear and hit him where he ain't, they being the opposing fielders. His 385 career batting average after the 1898 season is the highest average in the history at season's end for a player with more than 1,000 hits, 1,147. He compiled a 341 career batting average, tied for 11 with Bill Terry and Pete Browning as of 2022. He hit over 316 times in 19 seasons and hit over 400 once. He twice led the league in batting average and 3 times in hits. He had amazing, get this, 206 singles during the 1898 season, a record that stood for more than 100 years until broken by Ichiro. Additionally, Keeler had an on-base percentage of greater than 400 for 7 straight seasons. When Keeler retired in 1910, he was third all-time in hits with 2,932, behind only the great Cap Anson and Jake Beckley. Now, one of the smallest players to ever hit the field, he was only 5'4", 5'4.5", and weighed generously 140 pounds, resulting in his nickname. Elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939, he appeared as number 75 in the Sporting News list of the 100 greatest ever baseball players. Now, in 1999, he was named as a finalist in the Major League Baseball All-Century team. Having played his last game in 1910, he was the most chronologically distant player on both top 100 lists. But again, we still talk about him, and it's like 100 and some years later. Now, Keeler had the ability to bunt most balls pitched to him, enabling him to avoid striking out. His skill at prolonging at-bats while fouling pitchers off with his method was the impetus for a rule change that made it a foul bunt with 2 strikes a strikeout. In the 1899 season for the Brooklyn Super Bowl, in 570 at-bats, he only struck out twice, setting an at-bat per K mark of 285, a MLB single-season record. With Ned Hanlon's Baltimore Orioles, he perfected the Baltimore chop, in which he would chop the ball into the ground hard enough to cause a high bounce, which enabled him to reach first base before a fielder could glove the ball and throw him out, well before AstroTurf. Bill James, the great baseball historian, speculated that Keeler introduced the hit-and-run strategy to original Orioles and teammate John McGraw. In James's theory, Boston's Tommy McCarthy was the first manager to make wide use of the hit-and-run. McCarthy then taught it to John Montgomery Ward, who taught it to Keeler. Now, in forming the powerful original Baltimore Orioles of the late 19th century, manager Ned Hanlon was given an ownership stake in the team and a free rein to form his team. In one of the most one-sided trades in baseball history, Hanlon Now, in forming the powerful original Baltimore Orioles of the late 19th century, uh, manager Ned Handel was given an ownership stake in the team and a free rein to form his squad. In one of the most cited trades in baseball history, Handel obtained Dan Brouthers and Keeler from Brooklyn in exchange for Billy Schindel and George Treadway. Keeler and 6 of his teammates for Orioles were eventually inducted to the Hall of Fame. In 1897, he had a 44-game hitting streak to start the campaign, breaking the previous single-season record of 42 set by Bill Dahlen. Keeler had hit in the final game of the 1896 season, giving him a National League record 45-game hitting streak. This mark was surpassed by Joe DiMaggio in 41, who had 56 straight games hitting safely. In 78, Pete Rose tied Keeler's single-season mark of 44 contests. No other player in baseball history ever matched this feat. Keeler also had 8 consecutive seasons with 200 hits or more, a record broken by Ichiro in 2009. Now, in 1901, when Ben Johnson formed the American League, one of the first acts was to raid the National League and offer the Stars big contracts. In 1901, Keeler received offers from 6 of the 8 new American League clubs, including an offer from Chicago for 2 years at $4,300 a season, which is $151,000 now. Keeler remained in Brooklyn and did not actually jump to the new league until 1903, when he signed with the New York Highlanders, renamed the Yankees in 1913. In 1905, he set the Yankees team record for most sacrifice hits in the season with 42. Keeler was also the team's captain during the 808 and 09 campaigns. He remained with the Highlanders through 1909 and played the 1910 season with the New York Jets. He eventually played in Canada in 1911 for the Eastern League's Toronto Maple Leafs, and he had 43 hits in 39 games. The probably last successful Maple Leaf. After his retirement, Keeler was a scout and coach for the Super Bowl and the Boston Braves, as well as Brooklyn's Federal League team, the Tip Tops. He was wealthy after retiring as a player and invested in mining companies, real estate, and other ventures. His real estate lost value in the post-World War I economic recession, and by the time of his death, his brothers and he had to sell their childhood home to make ends meet. Keeler was an honored member of the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks and the Knights of Columbus. Now, Keeler had suffered from major health concerns late in life, including TB, for the last 5 years of his short life. By late 22, his condition had worsened, and whether he would live in the next year was doubtful. Seriously ill by New Year's Eve, he heard bells and sirens in the streets when the New Year arrived. Keeler sat up and said to his brother, "You see, the New Year's here, and so am I, still." He enjoyed a quick drink and a quick smoke and said that he was ready for a long sleep. A short time later, Keeler died. He was 50. He is buried in the Calvary Cemetery in Queens, New York, and again, an honored member of the Baseball Hall of Fame and respected by his fans and admirers from Canada to the States to Mexico, worldwide. Keeler is mentioned in the story as well, Hit 'Em Where They Ain't by Robert Ruark, as well in the poem Line Up for Yesterday by Ogden Nash, and of course, Line Up for Yesterday. K is for Keeler, as fresh as green paint, the fastest and the mostest, to hit where they ain't. Ogden Nash, Sport Magazine, 1949. Now, this is how Willie Keeler impacted us. A little story I want to tell you. I had a crazy baseball coach in intermediate. He was the local parish priest, Father George Parent. We're having a bad game, and I think it was against the Lousy Dodgers, or I think maybe one of the Campbellton teams. And I said to my buddy, I said, "This is like, they're playing us like 9 wee Willie Keelers. They're hitting the where they ain't." Father Perron turned around. He said, "Why are you always bringing up the pass about baseball?" Well, I said, "Father, if I'm bringing up the pass, we're doomed to repeating it. We'll let everybody on that side play by wee Willie Keeler." Another guy said, "Who's wee Willie Keeler?" I said, "The greatest probably hitter of all time besides Pete Rose, or what do you want to call it in the 80s it was." You would not believe, hit them where they ain't. And that applies to any sport. You pass them when they're not there. You shoot it when the player's not there. You pass it to an area where the offensive player is not going to get you. It applies to every sport. Wee Willie Keeler, if he was alive in 2023 with his skill, well, Ichiro, he'd be billions and billions and billions of dollars in salary and merchandise. He'd be probably making 100 to 200 million a year with his talent. So that's the story of Wee Willie Keeler. Ryan Thompson, thanks for a great request. Another great follower of our channel. If you like what you're doing here with our Vintage Baseball podcast, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.